With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Phoenix Raceway. It's the track where 3 NASCAR champions will be crowned this weekend, but in the PRL, we're not quite so hasty. We're only just halfway past the season here. Richard Regan Jr. and Abner Acosta both have a pair of wins so far. Doug Evans and Jeff Evans have 1 win each, and the whole field comes to Phoenix tonight singing like grocery store music legend Mark Lindsay did, Arizona, hey, won't you go my way? Welcome to round 7 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. I'm Joey Tebben. I'm glad to be back after a couple of Wednesdays away. With me once again in the booth is Terry Radford, and behind the scenes is our producer, Hugo Luis. Terry, we kind of burned down the house at Martinsville last week, but now we arise from the ashes like a phoenix, and we go racing at Phoenix.
Yeah, and I know I should start this by saying happy birthday to my wife, but I would be remiss if I didn't wear this Tennessee volunteer mask to keep the crappy Kentucky people away from me. It was a really, really bad time. You get your mask out too. Kentucky seems to stink. 44-6, I think, is where we were sitting. And I get to watch a beautiful dude in Mark Kalin drive around with the Tennessee volunteer stuff all over him. But Phoenix is going to be amazing. Martinsville kind of, it was but we're at a track that's decent. And I was talking to some of the Waterback drivers. They said if they make it and it turns 2, we're going to have a good show. So blame Bradley Holly if it's not good.
I'm definitely not going to wear this thing for the whole broadcast.
No, I can't either. I can't breathe.
And this thing, I haven't worn this thing in like a year because it's so ineffective. You're sick. You gotta get the good stuff. You gotta get one of these things. But anyway, we'll get into the action here. We'll take a look at the rest of the 2022 Season 4 schedule for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Because like I said, Terry, it is not the season finale this week. There's still quite a bit to go. iRacing Super Speedway, that's kind of the big one next week. A lot of drivers kind of on the outside looking into the round of 4. We'll look at that in a couple of minutes. But iRacing Super Speedway is a big opportunity for anybody who might not be a favorite to win to get themselves into the round of 4.
I don't even want to know what next week's going to present, but my wife's watching. I do have to say happy birthday to my wife. She turns 99 years old today, so she's doing a great job out there. She's as old as the Monster Mile.
As old as the Monster Mile itself or himself. I don't remember what that guy's name is. There's a
Miles.
name for that.
Miles the Monster.
Of course, it's just Miles the Monster.
There's Miles the Monster.
But yeah, we go to Miles the Monster, and then Auto Club Speedway. May it rest in peace in about 2 years. We'll
R.I.P. to the Queen.
We'll take a look at that layout for a couple more times. And of course, we have to look at the championship standings. Like I mentioned, we are fighting for 2 championships in 1 this season. It is not just the 2022 Season 4 individual standings, but we will look at those first. Abner Acosta currently leads those standings over Bradley Holly, over Richard Regan Jr., over Sean Powell, over Jeff Evans. I'd say all those 5 names in succession because they are only separated by 18 measly points in the 2022 Season 4 championship. But that is not the only championship to fight for. There's also the overall championship for the whole of 2022, the playoffs, the PRL layoffs. You can see those standings right now as we go into the round of 8 now. 3 rounds at Phoenix, at iRacing Superspeedway, and at Dover. Evans and Sink and Cervantes are pretty close in the cutoff line, but I think Lane and Hunter and Zemke are probably circling iRacing Superspeedway for a surprise win.
Yeah. I mean, anybody, this is when it gets crazy, all right? So tonight we might see something crazy. I mean, all the officials so far this week have been absolutely bananas. I've lost 60-plus iRating so far in 3 races, so anything could happen here at Phoenix. I wouldn't sleep on Austin Hunter, though. He ran good last week, had a good top 10 finish. I think this could be a place he might be able to sneak one like Dale Jr. did in a rain-shortened race.
And the team standings are a little bit less close. Phase 2 Chassis Works have kind of separated themselves a little bit. A great result for them last week, 1-2 with Regan and Scotty Reinshield. But Whataback, Overdrive, always in contention. They're only about 30 points back. Private label Team Hype with Abner Acosta quite a bit further back, so they're going to need a little bit of luck. Whataback Racing, both of their squads with Backrow and Loud Pedal round out the top 5, and if you need to see the rest of the top 10, just rewind a little bit on this live stream, because we actually have to get moving here, Terry. Qualifying has come to an end, but first we must thank the people who make all of this possible. First and foremost, VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. This coverage is also brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount, also using the Precision5 coupon code. From Racebox to RaceLab, RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills with modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration. You can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. I'm not going through this fast at all. Ninja Trader, last but not least. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with the risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. There's a reason I went through those so quickly. That's because the drivers are already ready to grid here. Abner Acosta qualified on pole. He will start in the front row alongside Sean Powell. Richard Regan Jr., Bradley Holly, and Jeff Evans join him in the top 5. The top 5 in the championship are the top 5 on the grid. Thomas Sink will start P6, and Kevin McGarvey, a great qualifying in P7. Colton Lane, Adam Zemke, Jeff Hollingsworth, Dalton Geyer, and Danny Cervantes round out the top 12. Then we go down to Patrick Cowgill, Doug Evans, Nicholas Hunter, Austin Hunter, Charles Sumner, Doyle Lawrence, Jose the Funky Colt Medina, Eric Lambert, Mark Kalin, Garrett Austin, CM Pennington, Ryan Traver, Robert Goff, Jim Westerfield, Tom Amasi, Stacy Hunter, Oliver Goff, Brian Hoskins, Scotty Reinshield, Brandon Walter, Steve Loving, Adam Shane, and Zach Panzarella. Basically the entirety of the bottom 9 positions there. Those drivers were not allowed to qualify after bringing cautions out at at Martinsville last week, rather. But we are ready to go racing here at Phoenix. A little bit of a rush in the session this week, but all the drivers are waiting to go. They are ready to go. Abner Acosta will start on pole for the umpteenth time seemingly this season, the 4th time in 7 races. It's a reformatted Phoenix. It's a reprofiled Phoenix. It's a very strange start line, but Abner Acosta is going to get to choose when he wants to go, and that is right now. We're green at Phoenix. One lap in the books at Phoenix Raceway. It was a great jump by Abner Acosta. He brought Richard Regan Jr. with him, starting on the bottom there. Sean Powell did not have quite as good of a restart on the top line, just couldn't get things rotated. He's fallen back just a little bit, but everybody in the field clean through lap 1, and we're already seeing the multiple grooves of Phoenix being used.
Yeah, you're going to see 3 different grooves. You'll see the dog leg get used here. People's going to cut this track kind of like a sandwich. They'll sweep up against the wall, and then they'll peek it on down. He's going to do it, bam, and that's a bumpy ride. And then you go to bump back over, and that could upset the balance of the truck. Really make the back end want to shift a little bit. If you're dumb like me, you might catch the wall once or twice, but don't be dumb like Terry. Yeah, go Big Orange.
Here comes Danny Cervantes to the inside of Thomas Sink in what used to be turn 1. It is now technically turn 3, I believe. His teammate Colton Lane is going to be forced out of the way, essentially. Danny Cervantes cuts down into the paved dog leg. You can use every little bit of that asphalt down there. It is all free for you to use, and Danny Cervantes used every bit of it to get by.
The trick that I used earlier today, I was a little down power. People wrecked on the initial lap. I was taking the actual underneath the yellow line. So right when you cut this pit wall right here, I kind of cut down a little bit down there and rode around just a bit. And look at that. There's the score. He put a little dent on it, 44-6. Our Kentucky fan, he lost, by the way, Joey. So there's his car for the rest of the season. So don't be crazy when you see that score. That's a nice little touch that Jeff Evans put on there for me.
Mark Kalin is on kind of redemption duty tonight. He did not have a very good day on Sunday night at Martinsville. I believe he brought out 3 cautions, and he might actually be serving a race ban in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series next week because of bringing out so many cautions. But a race ban in the Cup Series does not apply to the Truck Series. He races on here, doing a great job holding that truck down in, I believe, some of the latter spots in the top 20. I do just want to update you on one driver. I mentioned that a lot of drivers received qualifying penalties for bringing cautions out of Martinsville last week. Those drivers were Jeff Evans, Adam Shane, Brandon Walter, Scotty Reinshield, Steve Loving, Thomas Sink, Robert Gilmore, and Zach Panzarella. Jeff Evans and Thomas Sink both qualified and are both currently running 4th and 6th, so I don't know what's going on there.
As if somebody didn't pay attention to their email, or they just went out there and laid a lap down. I mean, it would be determined what the PRL admins do. I'm very impressed. I don't want to jinx this. It's not normally you're the jinx. I'm not. But man, we've ran 8 laps, and this is a tough track because you have these different grooves. You have the opportunity to cut that dog leg, and you see right there with the 41 coming up there into the 98. That could have become an issue. Like, he could have not seen him or misjudged where he was sitting, and that could have been big, but heads up driving across the board by everybody.
Charles Sumner seems to be struggling a little bit here. It almost looked like he got in the wall coming into the dog leg a little bit earlier. Technically, this is still turn 1, I think. Even with the reprofiling of Phoenix, they haven't actually changed the corner name. So the final corner is turn 1, but I don't think anybody's thinking about corner names now. We're about to send it 3 wide into the back corner of this track. Mark Kalin's forced to back out of it. Doug Evans is going to win on the outside. But Charles Sumner's getting aggressive.
He's letting that Miracle Flow truck hang out there. You have to be aggressive. It's not you need to be cautions out. We'll see what happened, but you have to be aggressive here on the restarts, Joey. You got to get every position. No,
Robert Goff or Scotty Reinshield, one of them.
Reinshield.
Scotty Reinshield. I mentioned that he had a great week last week at Martinsville.
You jinxed him.
Really showed up for the first time, finished second behind his teammate.
Yeah.
And it appears that he has brought out the first caution of the night on lap number 10. Going to try and diagnose what happened to him. If I had to predict, I would say he probably made contact with another driver, but we never know. We have to wait for the Panopticon to show us what happened. Robert Goff dives to the inside. That's Adam Shane, actually, who dives to the inside of Goff, and Scotty had nowhere to go.
Hadn't that been the story of his year? Like, it's not him causing messes or, being the mess. He's getting caught in other people's messes. It's kind of been in last week. I thought that would have been the race that I had a circle on the calendar and said, if he's going to mess up, like if he's going to make a mistake or get caught on somebody else's mistake, Martinsville was it. He stayed clean the whole race, ran a flawless race across the board. You come back and you jinxed it.
A lot of drivers in the back of the field electing to come in under caution here. Mark Kalin, CM Pennington, Panzarella, Loving, Amasi, and of course Shane, Goff, and Reinshield, who all got damage in that caution, come down as well. It is early in the race, but a 10-lap run, I think that's longer than any run we did at Martinsville last week. You got to be thinking something in terms of strategy when you're at the back of the field already.
Yeah, trust me, I sit through it. I talked a lot of Cheez-Its. I mean, strategy-wise, it's simple. I mean, you think about some of the drivers back there that just came down. Kayla came down, Loving, Panzarella, you talk about Goff, Amasi, they came in. I wouldn't necessarily take tires here. I would take fuel. Set-wise, you didn't put a whole lot on the tires. If you overdrove the truck that hard in 10 laps, you should have practiced more. So the people who got damaged, maybe. But aerodynamics doesn't affect you a whole lot here. I mean, the Contender Series raced last night, and they had drivers with damage on the rear end in the Xfinity car, and they were able to continue on. I mean, I finished 10th with a meat paw. So it'll happen. It'll do its thing.
I think a few of those drivers who just came in did have a little bit of damage, because I'm seeing Mark Kalin in the pits for 37 seconds, Tom Amasi for 23 seconds. They must have had a little bit of maybe a right side crunkle from getting in the wall, potentially out of turn 4. And they said, you know what, I'm already at the back of the field. Might as well come in and try and straighten that right side of my truck out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the damage here isn't that crazy. I mean, you can take a beat in these trucks and continue on. I mean, if you go down a little horsepower, you'll feel it in the small little bit of the straight, but the corners you make it back up. It's just the power off. It's going to hurt you a whole lot. I mean, I don't see them pitting until probably about lap 45, unless a caution comes out around lap 30, lap 36-ish. Then they'll pit there, and then they should be good.
Got a message in the YouTube chat from War Bovine, always a loyal viewer, says the strat is wait until everyone turns right into one another, swoop in and claim a top 10.
Solid strat.
I do always appreciate that strat, but save that for 1 week from now. That's definitely going to be the strat at iRacing Super Speedway next week.
I kind of warmed up my pipes for like the final little bit of the call between me and you. Whoever the producer is probably just going to be like turning us up and down the entire time, because we're going to get really, really excited that a big wreck's going to happen, and then I'm going to get a bleep, so the FCC or whoever doesn't, get in there, and then at the end it'll be, oh, big wreck, who won it? And then somebody random just comes through and just like catapults their way into it.
Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar, iRacing Super Speedway, a fantasy track in the style of a super speedway, 3 miles long. If that doesn't sell it as an absolutely insane racing endeavor, I don't know what will. But we're ready to get going for more of this insane racing endeavor here. It looks awfully familiar. It looks exactly like the initial start 13 laps ago. But Abner Acosta's back in control. Richard Regan Jr. is hoping that he can follow him as well as he did last time. And Sean Powell's trying to redeem his last restart. It looks an awful like a lot like the last one, though. Richard Regan Jr. jumps forward. He's side by side with his teammate Sean Powell, and he's already clear coming into turn 3.
Yeah, that was a massive launch right there for Regan and Acosta. For Powell, that outside lane just never gets going. I don't understand it either. Why he can't get on the gas as hard, and that's for anybody. Across the officials this weekend has been atrocious to be on that outside. As you look at a beautiful onboard shot with Patrick Cowgill. What a sexy truck in front of him. I got to say, that's the prettiest thing in the field.
I mean, the only big orange I root for is the one on Charles Sumner's truck, but that's beside the point here. Patrick Cowgill trying to get to the inside of his former teammate, I believe, Colton Lane. I don't remember if Patrick Cowgill ever drove for Whataback. He doesn't right now, but I feel like he may have in the past. I know I'll get shouted at by Whataback drivers if that never happened, though. Kevin McGarvey putting himself on the scene for one of the first times this season, really having a great run. Well, it was in the top 10. It's now going to be the top 11 or top 12 as Cowgill goes to the outside. But McGarvey's fighting hard this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some flashes in the pan. Like I said, I don't want to come off as a turd, but I mean, he hasn't been up front dominating races or up front in the top 5, but he's been here. I mean, he's been at the cusp of the top 10, trying to get him. He just, once again, he's kind of like Scotty Reinshield, gets caught in other people's crap and can never get over the hump pulling it out. But if I had to pick a person to win iRacing Super Speedway next week, I'll circle that 77.
That does remind me, I do need to break out the traditional random number generator again.
You do.
So I will do that at the end of this broadcast, because that's basically what you need to predict a race at iRacing Super Speedway. It's never been right before, but there's always a first time for everything. So we'll see what happens in about 80 laps time. Side by side in the background, Austin Hunter and Dalton Geyer. Austin Hunter, one of those playoff drivers, really needs a bunch of good results or a freak win. It's going to be tough to get a freak win at Phoenix, but crazier things have happened. He's still just trying to stay alive this week, as Dalton Geyer now has to fall behind him for a moment.
And you see the 109 of Nicholas Hunter. He's catching up here. Nick had a bad week last week. Kind of got wrecked early. I mean, really early. I think he was like 2-3 laps into the race, got taken out, and it was done. Dalton Geyer's doing a great job. He's utilizing that outside lane, something that, you know, we're not necessarily going to see early in the race, but he's the only one up there doing it, and he's making it work. He's getting good forward bite, good center off speed. He's kind of cooking the entry a little bit, but that center off, he gets just as good as a run as anybody.
Jeff Hollingsworth has just fallen to Colton Lane, or has he? He fights back. Does Jeff Hollingsworth on the outside? They're going to continue side by side. It has single filed out for the majority of the field, but Hollingsworth and Lane, they're fighting very, very hard for this last spot in the top 10. Hollingsworth will get by into 9th, but Colton Lane's not going anywhere, and he is running a much lower lane.
Yeah, the bottom lane here, it's kind of, well, I don't want to say it's kind of hard. It's a little difficult to pass here, especially in these trucks. Granted, you know, there is multiple lanes, but you think about if you run that middle lane right here, or what Jeff Hollingsworth's doing, it's allowing him to stay more on throttle. He's allowed to hold it about 3/4 of the way through it. So you'll hear he'll lift here. He'll lift, he'll roll it. He's already back in the throttle quarter, and then he's back on the gas full across the board. So now Colton Lane, what he had to do is he had to match his tempo and then put himself down below him. He couldn't do it because that outside lane gave him the momentum to go. And Patrick Calco's just sitting here enjoying the show.
When we think about drivers who are better over the course of a long run, drivers who aren't necessarily going to show all of their pace right now, of course, Abner Acosta's always a driver we mentioned about that. That's probably worrying if he's in the lead. But Colton Lane is showing everything on the short run right now. He is barging his way forward through turns 1 and 2. He got to the side of Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth is able to stay clear in the dogleg, but Lane is going all over the place. He's using every single groove that exists at Phoenix. He's on the bottom. He's on the top. It doesn't work to get by Jeff Hollingsworth, though.
I mean, you have to run every groove here. People are going to be in your way. You're going to be in traffic. This is not as bad as Martinsville when it comes to traffic-wise, as he jumps to the outside here, but he's not going to get a fender on him. Patrick Calgill actually gets a fender on him to put some offense, and then he gets in the back of the 97, and now the 31. He's gonna dive it in there a little bit more. Let's see if it hurts him in the center, though.
I think Lane had to check up a little bit there, not to turn Jeff Hollingsworth into the wall out of the dogleg. He is able to preserve the position, though. The outside in turns 3 and 4 still working for him. He's carrying so much more speed through the center of the corner than Hollingsworth. He's going to get to the inside coming into the dogleg again. But Hollingsworth was able to fight back on the outside last time Colton Lane tried this. And again, Hollingsworth is almost clear, and he's going to have the optimal run on the outside again. Nothing Colton Lane does seems to work. And that's got to be eternally frustrating right now.
Yeah. And that's an issue with running that outside. As Hollingsworth got loose right there and saved it, he was able to push down. The thing here with the 60, you see how he's charging the corner. You talked about him having that a little bit more speed going in there than Hollingsworth did. Well, he's able to charge it in there a tad bit more, but he has to back the exit up more. So you can overdrive the entry, and you see he washes up a tad bit, scrubs some speed off the tires. He allows the 31 of Calgill to get the run, and now Patrick, he's going to jump that outside. He's going to take it, and now they're going to go into, now it's just 3 or turn 1, whatever turn it is.
Austin Hunter is hunting Kevin McGarvey right now, and he's actually past Kevin McGarvey. Next up on his list is Jeff Hollingsworth. He's not going to be able to get to the inside of Jeff, though, in the established traffic control mobile. Dalton Geyer is going to get to the inside of McGarvey. McGarvey has the outside, though. He's got more momentum. He's going to switch to the inside on Austin Hunter and try and pay him back into turn 1. No, he's not. He backs out of it, stays in line.
this is a whole lot more racier than I thought we were going to see, as we see that beautiful established traffic control sign back behind that 312 of Austin Hunter. I kind of said that Nicholas was my favorite Hunter last week. It upset him a little bit, so Austin's my favorite Hunter.
Those headphones are new.
They are? No, they're the same. It wasn't lighting up. Yeah. The light up thing. See, when people are talking to him, they light up. So somebody's in his ear, or he's listening to us talk mess.
It's probably his 17 Whataback teammates who are talking to him. If I had to predict, but I'm like a 3-year-old watching Teletubbies. I see pretty colors. I go, oh my God, pretty colors. Look at that. But we're not biased at all.
No.
Austin Hunter gets back in line with the very pretty headset, and looks like we have gone train mode once more for most of the field. But I do need to shout out some of those drivers who came down pit road under that last caution. They do have 10 lap fresher tires than anybody else in the field. It's worked out to some extent for them. Mark Kalen's kind of hit a wall in terms of progress up in P17, and he's the highest driver on those 11 lap younger tires at the moment. He's got quite a bit of ground to make up to catch up to the back of Nicholas Hunter for P16.
Well, that's if he took tires. So he did have some damage on the back end of that machine. That Ford got caved in right where the score is on the truck. So maybe somebody didn't like the score. I know he didn't. He almost cried. About the third quarter, he was a little bit tearish. My wife was upset because she was cheering for the Cats. It was an all-around good day. But I mean, we go up here to the lead for a second. They haven't separated themselves. You think Abner Acosta, when you talked about him driving away from the field in the long run, Richard Regan Jr., I sitting there when he practiced today, he had some speed. Sean Powell, Bradley Holly, all those drivers right there, they were cooking. And I wouldn't be surprised here as we look at all the water jugs still back there. He still hasn't drank any.
Yeah, that was all full of liquid Molly. He drank every last drop of that delicious motor oil. But Richard Regan Jr. and Sean Powell, in all seriousness, have cautions out. I won't get to compliment Richard Regan Jr. and his tire set. Mark Kalen's upside down. If that is not a perfect allegory for Mark Kalen's season, somehow Mark Kalen ends up upside down. Jose the Funky Cold Medina's going the wrong way. One of the Goffs, Oliver Goff, has to park up for that. A lot of drivers have to park up for that. How in the world did Mark Kalen end up upside down at Phoenix?
I did it today. I hope I saved the replay. I'll show it to you. There's a piece of the wall that if you hit it just right, and right where he hit was the piece that you hit, it will launch that sucker. He took a beautiful truck and ruined it, just like the Kentucky Wildcat quarterback season when he played our defense.
Let's see what happened to him. That's one of the Goffs in the wall already. Kalen's trying to go around the outside of Hunter. No issues with the truck that was already in the wall. And there was a little bit of net code, and Kalen was fine. And then,
boom! Right when he was corkscrewing, just done, son.
I think that was Eric Lambert in the 19 who was the first car to hit him, and then Jose Medina came barreling in as well. I guess they had no real way to know that was happening because the caution hadn't come out yet, I don't think. So I can't really blame them for the ARCA brakes there, but just about everybody has brought it down pit road under this caution. All of your leaders have, except for Stacy Hunter, CM Punk Pennington, and Oliver Goff. They've elected to stay out and pull a little bit of an alternate strategy up front.
I will say, I never thought I would get an ARCA brake comment here. That was good. That was a good way to come back into the truck series with an ARCA brake thing. You know, when you were reading earlier, since we got a caution, and you were reading really fast, I just kept laughing to myself.
Should be an auctioneer. Any auctioneers listening? Anybody at Sotheby's? Give me a call. I'll do whatever you want. Stacy Hunter and CM Pennington and what's his face, Oliver Goff, by the way, did all three come down pit road that last time around. They are not, in fact, going to pull an alternate strategy and stay out in front of the field on 35 lap older tires. So the natural order of things is kind of reset here. It's Acosta and Powell again back on the front row. It wasn't a very good pit cycle for Mr. Richard Regan Jr., who's actually lost 2 spots. He finds himself behind Bradley Holly now.
About you reading. So I was thinking my sister, I got her a book one year for Christmas. Obviously, we're coming up on the holiday season. I don't think she's ever read it. And then I found out why. Her reading level isn't there. So like you start reading fast and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know why it popped in my head about that book that I got her. But do you read a lot of books?
Well, I'm realizing that this is not the only time Terry thinks about me instead of his wife, but I don't read that many books. I always have stuff to read for these classes. You know, I'm a college student in addition to doing this stuff. Pity me. So I'm reading all sorts of like critical theory papers, and you got to read broadcasting textbooks. You got to read all sorts of words when you're doing college stuff.
Well, at least you have a higher reading level than my sister. I think she reads at like a 7th
Oh,
grade
it's your
level.
sister, not your wife.
Oh, my wife's a genius. Well, she's not watching no more, so. But yeah, she's pretty smart. I think she graduated from CNU, good degree. Yeah, she reads like a crazy person. I don't get it. I don't know. I'm not interested in books. I read phone text chats. That's about it.
I just read RaceSpotTV/timing2 personally, because that's all I have to read. That's all I have to read tonight. And Abner Acosta's got nothing to read up front. He's just been looking at clean track ahead of him this whole time.
You read that in Google Sheets.PRL.
Indeed. Abner Acosta's back in control of the field. Sean Powell gets another kind of mediocre restart in the outside line, but that's just by virtue of how this track is designed. It's better than any previous restart, though, because Richard Regan Jr. doesn't get to his inside. Bradley Holly, though, is going to peek a nose to the inside of Sean Powell into turn 3. Thomas Sink's trying to make the outside work. Everybody's fanning out in the second restart.
Well, that was honestly the best
Holly's out of shape.
Outside. But that was still the best restart. And he wouldn't have got out of shape if he wouldn't have cut right in front of the 56 right there. They're friends outside of this, but that was close. Like that, he came up a little bit. The nose was already there. The 56 was working in it, just like you see what he did to Bradley Holly right back. That was pretty funny.
Holly and Regan, always the rivals. Holly not giving Regan that much room, and Regan not opening the door for him at all. It's exactly what you'd expect from two of the best drivers, two of the most successful drivers in Precision Racing League history. Thomas Sink right behind as well, a successful driver in his own right. Jeff Evans got his second win earlier this season. Colton Lane has a couple of wins. He's still in playoff contention, and Adam Zemke's got a win as well. There's a lot of winners up here in the top 8. Every single driver in the top 8 is a PRL winner.
I mean, it shows you who's the cream of the crop in the PRL Truck Series. The crazy part is this season's kind of been like an ebbs and flow type race. You saw Jeff Evans, Doug Evans win, and then you saw Abner Acosta start walking. Richard Regan Jr. started walking. Now, who's that next person that comes up there? Is it going to be Sean Powell? I didn't think we would have to ask ourselves this question again this season. When's Bradley Holly going to win? Like, when's he there?
Yeah, that's been the thing about these last 2 seasons that's been kind of unusual. Holly was in championship contention last season. If things went even a little bit different, he likely could have been the champion instead of Abner Acosta. This season, he's in contention as well, but he hasn't won in the first 6 rounds. Last season, he only won 1 race. Bradley Holly has never had a PRL NASCAR Truck Series season where he hasn't won a race. I mean, this season could be it. There's only 4 more chances to do it.
And I mean, I don't think next week's a good opportunity. You don't think I mean, maybe we look at Dover, maybe we circle that racetrack and say that might be the place. Maybe tonight. I mean, he's not off. He's not far off of everybody else. As you see Jeff Evans trying to work over Thomas Sink here, he'll get that position. But I mean, I really didn't think that we would be this many weeks into the season and go, man, Bradley Holly still hasn't won. I mean, we knew Richard Regan Jr. would be fast. We knew Abner Acosta would be fast. But I still expected to see Bradley Holly go into victory lane at least once already.
This battle's pretty important in terms of playoff points. Jeff Evans is 3 points below the cut line for the round of 8, or for the round of 4 rather. Thomas Sink is on the cut line for the round of 4. So every position that Jeff Evans makes up brings that gap down just a little bit. And these 2 are actually both really, really doing good things here, because Danny Cervantes, who's only 3 points above the cut line, currently runs 19th. So in all actuality, both Evans and Sink are both going to jump Cervantes into those round of 4 spots right now.
Yeah, but how you come out of this race is going to determine how you run next week. I know that sounds crazy, but if you come out of here tonight with a decent points lead going into iRacing Super Speedway, especially if you're Evans or Sink right here, I would ride in the back. I would sit in the tail end about a half a car length to a car length away from the back of the drafting pack and just ride. Quarter throttle that thing, work together, don't get it above 230. You go, what, to 240 there or something like that? Just let them wreck. You know what's going to happen. I mean, once you dive into the corner, you bounce up. That's it. Like, you're kind of swept away. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it's not as crazy as RSR's calculating the live points to who's going to get in the Final Four at the end of it, because my head hurt after Monday's show.
Yeah, we might have to break the computer out for that one. But Colton Lane, Austin Hunter, Adam Zemke, all those drivers who are quite a few spots below the cut line, they're also Duke this week. They're 33, 35, and 39 points below the cut line, respectively. They're outscoring Danny Cervantes as well. They probably need to get ahead of Evans and Sink as well to make up even more points, but every playoff driver but Danny Cervantes is in the top 10 right now.
For the drivers who were 30-plus back, no offense to anybody, their point idea needs to get out of their head. There should be no counting spots, no counting where you can ride. You need to win. You need to think about winning with a strategy here. You need to think about winning on strategy and pace next week. And then you need to go and think about Dover. You need to think about winning on pace there. I wouldn't think about points. I mean, you might gain a ton of points next week, but you need to think of strategy.
I'm surprised that Danny Cervantes isn't doing better tonight, because I looked at him in practice a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure he was second on the timesheets.
Yeah.
And that has just not translated to race pace so far. But there's still half of the race to go. Anything can happen. Crazy things have happened in the PRL this season, and more will happen in the future. We check back in to the battle up front. Haven't taken much of a look at it because it looks very similar to how it did before. Powell and Regan both kind of running behind Acosta, just running their own races. Probably saving a little bit because they know Abner's doing that too in front of them.
Yeah, you don't see them really charging it. You don't see them moving out of the groove. Mark Kalin in the chat says it's my fault. This is Kentucky's fault, not mine. But these three right here, I haven't seen them put a wheel out of place. They've opened up a very sizable lead over Bradley Holly. You see them back there. It's about 5.5 car lengths that separate them all the way up to the back bumper of Richard Regan Jr. But I'm always surprised that Richard Regan didn't try to force the issue to get past Sean Powell. As you see Danny Cervantes trying to work his way up. He's trying to pass Doyle Lawrence up there for the 16th position. And he's going to make that pass sort of, kind of, yeah, he got it.
Sort of, kind of, completely. Door bumper clear. There goes Danny Cervantes. Up one more spot. Brandon Walters coming up next, but Danny might have to take a fight back from Mr. Doyle Lawrence first. I thought he was going to send it in a little bit deeper into 3 and 4 there, but I think Doyle realized it's probably best to not fight with Danny too much. He's kind of on a charge of his own here. He's definitely got more pace right now, and next up on his hit list is Brandon Walter.
Yeah, I think he has pace. I think the problem with him is he kind of got stuck in some track position game. This racetrack kind of reminds me of Indianapolis. Right? And I know that sounds silly, but you think about track position in Indy. If you get the lead or you're in second there, dirty air makes a big difference if you're anywhere back out of that first 3. It's hard to pass. I mean, you legit have to drive it in there and hope that it holds. You can't just go do it. You can't just drive past them and you're like, I see ya. Here you have different grooves that the dirty air kind of gets you. There is a lot that goes on in the lap around here.
Stacy Hunter and Tom Amasi going at it for some of the last spots on the lead lap right now. Stacy Hunter is on 1 lap fresher tires than everybody else in the field. That's pretty meaningless though, because Stacy just elected to come down pit road 1 lap later than everybody else under caution, but Powell hits Acosta. Powell dives it to the inside into turn 3 and forces Abner Acosta into the wall. Richard Regan Jr. is going to take the lead, and Abner Acosta just got bullied there.
That man got bodied, son. and that was a sizable hit. I mean, that wasn't just a little peck on the lips or nothing. He full on Mike Tyson, that man.
A little bit too much speed coming into the corner, and not only did Sean Powell's pass for the lead fail on Acosta, he ended up checking himself up so much that his teammate Richard Regan Jr. got through. But let's see what happened. Sean Powell in the 45, Abner Acosta in the 5, coming into turn 3 here.
He took it straight. He had no arc, straight corner, had no way to arc it. And then once you take a straight approach to the corner, you're not getting it turned.
Abner Acosta had a 10-point championship lead in Season 4 over Holly and Regan coming into tonight. It looks like that might start falling back a little bit. It's not heavy damage on the outside of that number 5 truck. We'll see it next time we look at the right side of that truck. It's still in racing shape, but he's going to be struggling for the rest of the night. Cowgill and Hunter side by side for the last couple spots in the top 10. Cowgill down in the dog leg, Hunter on the outside. Hunter's going to be clear of him into 9th.
Oh. Yeah, there's Hollingsworth to once you see that checkup happen. But I know that damage might not be a whole lot on Abner Acosta. That's a ton of damage for here. And I mean, he's going to drop like a rock in the lake, or like the goalpost in the Cumberland. Good Tennessee reference again. He's already dropped from, he was sitting 3rd after he got past there. I mean, he's already fell 4.5 seconds off this race leader. And continuously dropping. So he needs a caution. If there's anybody in this field that needs one with 40 to go, it's the 5, just for a little damage repair.
And Acosta's running very, very slow lap times. Last time was a 29.0. Richard Regan Jr. is running 28.2s up front, so he is ailing. I think Terry's exactly right. Abner Acosta definitely does need a caution. He's not going to get one right now, though, and Austin Hunter's going to drive right by. Patrick Cowgill is going to try and get to the inside as well. I think we'll see if he has any real straight line speed deficiency here as Cowgill gets to the inside. The exit of the corner. Yeah, Cowgill's closing. He's closing. He's closing. He's side by side to turn 1, and he's clear.
Yeah, you can see when he got down there, he had a little bit of a nose on him, and then he just kept getting over and over and over and over. And you see Jeff Hollingsworth, he's going to get clear, no problem. You'll see Doug Evans, he's going to drop down. Once they get on the straight, he'll get it. Oh,
Abner Acosta gets turned by Doug Evans. The caution will come out. Abner Acosta ends up backing it onto the track. And there it is. Brandon Walter, his teammate, barely avoids him. But Abner Acosta's race gets even worse. That might actually not be worse for him because he got his caution. Unfortunately, he was part of it.
Well, that was his fault. So he already had Doug Evans below him. And I'm not too sure if he knew that he was there, but he was there. Now, granted, if you're Doug Evans, you don't shoot that gap like that, but you see here, he's there. He sees the checkup. He's there. Abner keeps coming down, and just that slight little tap's going to get you. But, once you've already been past there, you're kind of a victim of your own circumstance because you're on that outside. You can't come down and assume that person's taking a different lane than you.
Brandon Walter did a very good job of avoiding Abner Acosta back onto the track, though. So congratulations to him for avoiding that. We've had some trouble earlier this race with drivers not checking up for incidents. So good to see Brandon Walter getting out of the way. Looks like Steve Loving has elected to stay out. I imagine he'll come in the next time around. Everybody else in the field has come down pit road. Sean Powell, Richard Regan Jr., and the rest of the drivers still alive in this race. Going to sit in the box for something like 12, 13 seconds. Everybody's definitely taking tires. Here comes Abner Acosta from the back of the field, and Sean Powell's going to win the race off pit road.
That's the advantage of having what now would be the first pit stall. He was able to get in a clean entrance into his box. He didn't have to miss anybody, didn't have to overshoot his box, had an opportunity to do it. But this is crucial for the 5. You think about it, he did take tires, he took fuel. He's going to sit here in this box for a little bit. Now, as soon as that leader hits right where that turn 4 starts to sit, when that pace car is right there, that's your cue to, okay, you're right here. You count yourself down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you gun it off because all you have to do is hit the commitment cone. That's all you have to do is hit that line, and you stay on the lead lap. And then you can gun it and come back around and get it done. You see now he's going to roll right where they're sitting. So he knew that he had to go.
I'm kind of worried if I'm Abner Acosta right now, because we've talked about him for all this season, all last season, in this series and in the Cup Series. He's basically a lock for the playoffs. He's basically a lock for the round of 4. Don't even worry about him. We'll just worry about everybody else who's going to join him up there. He was only 20 points above the cut line coming into tonight. That's not a lot of points. It's double digits, so it's some solace for him. But right now he runs 26th, and all of his other playoff rivals are up in the top 10 or the top 14 at least. So he's got to start worrying a little bit.
My math isn't great. Said that before. I think we've all been there. I mean, it looks at the moment that he could be out. Like, sitting at 26th.
I think
he's lost.
With Evans and Sink and Cervantes being the drivers who need to jump him, I think he's still in technically, but the critical thing is there's 2 more weeks after this that Abner Acosta needs to make sure he doesn't get taken out, and he has not had a good time of that this season in both PRL NASCAR series. He has been taken out a lot. He took himself out there, kind of, but it has not been a good season for Abner Acosta, and he did get taken out by Sean Powell earlier. That's kind of the extent of the damage for him. Steve Loving, to stop talking about Abner Acosta, for once he occupies Abner Acosta's spot in P1. He's on 37 lap older tires than everybody else, or actually 30 lap older tires than everybody else. He's elected to go for an alternate strategy, and he's going to lead us to the restart here.
I think he kind of realizes what this race is about to turn to, potentially with 35 to go. Or 25 to go. Wait, it is 35. It's about to turn into a crapshoot here in a second of who's going to make it through and who's not.
Steve Loving will lead us to the restart in the very familiar red Coke Zero truck. Richard Regan Jr. is hounding him behind. He knows this is his best opportunity to jump here. Steve Loving is likely going to have a worse restart than Richard because of the older tires. The green flag is back out. Steve Loving jumps to the green, and Richard Regan Jr. instantly goes down to the dog leg, and he's already to the lead to turn 3. Sean Powell passes Loving as well.
And there's the caution.
The caution is out as quickly as it went away. I think Regan and Powell might both get the lead back. No, Steve Loving will maintain the lead because the caution came out so early. I did not see who brought out that caution, and it came out so early that we're gonna have to do a lot of shenanigans coming back to the line. Did Robert Goff bring out the caution? I don't know what went on there.
What?
I'm very confused. I wonder if it was telling him to like let somebody by and they wouldn't go by, and they waved off the start, but they didn't wave off the start because we had a start, and then the caution instantly came out. So that's one of those very odd iRacing things, and I guess Steve Loving's happy to see that because his strategy's working for him. He gets to hold the lead.
And like I said, if this could be a thing, and you got to think how many times you take a restart on these tires. While people think that restarts doesn't really do anything, you're adding something to them. If we get like a 3-lap run, he's going to lose the lead. We get it, you know. But if we get a 3-lap run and he falls to 5th or he falls to 6th, he comes, puts tires on. Well, now he has that 3-lap advantage. And then he doesn't have that heat cycle of cooling them off, heating them up, cooling them off with the restarts and lighting the tires up, trying to do what he has to do to get there. Sean Powell stays in 2nd. And I'm kind of confused on why we don't have a choose cone. He was stopped before we ever took the green. So that's
why was he there is my question, though.
Okay, so the caution came out legit right when they threw the green. I would imagine maybe he was just trying to be picked up by the field. But when the field passed him, he didn't go. Was he given a lap back?
He must have been confused by something, but Robert Goff, he was already 3 laps down as well, so there's always the possibility of iRacing doing some funky things and telling you to let somebody by who you thought you already let by. I don't know. I imagine we'll hear from him or somebody on his team a little bit later, maybe at the end of the race, because both Goffs are still in it. Abner Acosta, just to update you on him, he has come down pit road 2 more times, presumably to fix even more damage. He's already at the back of the field, and this caution helps him a lot too, because he gets to sit there under caution and get even more of it fixed.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen the last caution-wise. I mean, we're not even close to time. because we had that long green flag run there. So I mean, we've done a chunk of this. I think right at the moment, nobody other than somebody that could potentially get wrecked is thinking about coming to pit road. But I could at least see 3 or 4 more cautions before we're done.
There was a big number on the line coming into this week. Abner Acosta and Richard Regan Jr., they've been kind of fighting over that second place spot all time in PRL wins. They were tied at one point. They got tied again now on 49. Whichever one of them wins first, they're going to get to 50 wins, the big 5-0 in the PRL. Of course, it looks more likely for Richard Regan Jr. to do that right now, but Abner really wants that accomplishment too.
I mean, that's a big accomplishment. 50 puts you at, I mean, you're already in a category of your own with him and Abner, but I'm not sleeping on that 45 or Bradley Holly. I think it's one of those 3 that takes this win.
Yeah, Bradley Holly says 50 wins. That's chump change. I got 115 of them in the PRL, in the Cup Series, and the Truck Series, and the MX-5s, and even a pair of wins in sprint cars back when the PRL ran those in the early days. So he's hoping for win number 116, win number 1 of this season. Richard Regan Jr. is going for 50. Sean Powell's going for, I think, 3 or 4. And Steve Loving's going for number 1. He leads us back to the restart at Phoenix. It's a much better jump this time. We're actually green this time. But Richard Regan Jr. is going to get by him very, very quickly. Regan's already clear into the lead.
Yeah, that kind of hurt Sean Powell right there because it made him check up a little bit on that outside. He couldn't get the run that he wanted. It lets Richard Regan Jr. go around, lets him go, and now it's just going to be who can make the move on Steve Loving. And if you're the 27, you're wanting the caution right about now to get yourself down on pit lane. And they've already ran a couple laps. It's time to go. Time to go to pit lane and then try to work your way through the field.
Steve Loving, a little bit of a cork in the bottle here. Patrick Cowgill trying to make a move to the inside of Adam Zemke, but he's going to be forced to check up because Loving's down there in the bottom. They're almost 3 wide coming down the back straight, technically. They get away with it. They figure it out. Danny Cervantes is next on the scene as well. Somehow he's found his way into the top 10 after passing his teammate Austin Hunter. Steve Loving is proven to be a new dogleg on this track. And here comes Bradley Holly to the inside of Powell. What a move.
I think he might have been playing possum for a second because that's not the speed we saw out of him in the first portion of this race. And now look at him. Jumps up to second. He made an incredible move on the 45, and he's actually tracking down Richard Regan Jr.
Here comes Jeff Evans to the inside of Sean Powell as well, all the way down in the dog leg, almost down to the wall completely. Evans in the 51, peeks to the inside of Sean Powell, paints the yellow line down in the bottom. Move's not going to work out for him, though. Can't find the momentum on exit. Powell's struggling in the short run, though.
Yeah, we really haven't seen him with the short run speed all season long. I think it was Texas he had the short run speed, but long run speed something he's more known for, the mid to long. I think that's Robert Goff still on the racetrack over there, slow on the back straightaway. I'm still kind of confused here on why the caution came out.
Hey, don't tell me Robert Goff is going slow on the back straightaway. I'm going to get flashbacks to the last restart. But Danny Cervantes gets to the inside of Patrick Cowgill into turn 1. As they race side by side, Austin Hunter says, "Thank you very much. I needed that to catch up to the both of you." Hunter's got a lot of momentum here. He might be able to think about 3 wide into turn 3. That probably wouldn't be very smart. He knows that. He's just going to hang back and take in the show for a little while longer.
Yeah, it's honestly the one thing I like about this league is that you have common sense. Like the common sense level in officials, it lacks sometimes. Everybody wants to take whatever move they could take at the time. But if you just sit here and kind of work your move over and you allow it to set itself up, you allow everybody around you to make your move for you, you'll do all right. As you see here comes Austin Hunter. He's going to get to the inside of Patrick Cowgill. And then now Jeff Hollingsworth's going to try to work this pass over too.
Jeff Evans has also cleared Sean Powell up into third. If you notice that on the side of your screen, he's going to try and chase down his teammate, and hopefully they can both fight with Richard Regan Jr., but This battle refuses to let up. Austin Hunter's finally found a way to the inside of Patrick Cowgill as Danny Cervantes checks off into the distance. Hunter peeks to the inside in turn 3. Both of them wash up a little bit. Hollingsworth runs even higher. 3 different lines into turn 3, and the exact same result for all 3 drivers.
Yeah, for Jeff Hollingsworth right there. I mean, he went up there to the middle groove, held it perfect, was able to get the sweeping arc off the corner, and now he's just going to dive under. Kind of got checked up for a second, refused to slow the momentum up, goes to the bottom side, makes that pass work, sort of, kind of. He's going to drift up there. They're going to make contact. Oh, no, he held it. Oh, good save.
Made contact with Austin Hunter there. That's the second time a driver has made contact with Austin Hunter in this race, and there's been a little bit of a jump. So I wonder if Austin Hunter's internet's doing a little bit of trouble, because there's been netcode with that incident. There was netcode with his incident with Mark Kalin. Hunter survives. He doesn't go upside down like Kalin did. He loses about 4 spots though with that tiny little contact.
I'd rather lose 4 spots than be out of the race. I mean, if you're Austin Hunter, you know you're fast enough to get back up to the top 10. You just sit there and do what you do. You see Doyle Lawrence right here. He's getting a Jim Westerfield's having a run. Look at him at 13th.
Yeah, picking up the pieces, as old Jim does. Doyle Lawrence almost gets into the wall, coming up to the line. These guys are doing crazy things. You want to get on the throttle as early as you can through 1 and 2, but it's very easy to get on it too early. That wall has bitten me I don't know how many times, and it came very, very close to making Doyle Lawrence its most recent victim.
Oh, mid-yawn. You stopped mid-yawn there.
Just deliberate.
Yeah. War Bowman said that Hunter is a truck magnet. I could see that. Yanking him in. Hey, he almost got the 2 for 1 there on Westerfield and Doyle Lawrence. He's still got some speed. I mean, he might be a truck magnet over here, but he's got some speed under that thing.
I think that might be our Austin Hunter nickname, which is it's fitting, because I think established traffic control might make truck magnets.
We should ask him.
Maybe. We will ask him. I'm sure we will talk to Austin Hunter. No matter where that guy finishes, he could finish 27th, and somehow we still end up talking to him on Race Spot at the end of this PRL truck broadcast.
I love it.
Yeah, it's certainly not difficult. It's certainly not a task. We always love talking to Austin Hunter at the end of these races. He's still racing with Doyle Lawrence, though. He's probably wishing that he could clear Doyle quicker than he can. And there he goes. Clear into turn 1, washes up a little bit. Hunter's clear into P12.
It's like most drivers make us work for it. They make us pull their sponsors out of them and make us do, broadcasting work. And we don't want to work here. We just want to talk racing and then done. Austin at least comes in. It's like a breath of fresh air. He tells us his sponsors. He appreciates our service, which, it's nice to hear sometimes that we're doing a good job. We don't have to hear it all the time, but it's good to hear occasionally.
I'll say Doug Evans is doing a decent job here, all the way down to the dog leg. He's been running lower than just about anybody else through the dog leg. He was thinking about making it 3 wide with a little bit of an optical illusion there. Wasn't quite close enough. Doyle Lawrence and Westerfield, though, switching around, doing a little bit of a road course switchback is Doyle Lawrence. It's not going to work for him. Look at Brandon Walter in the background trying to pick up the pieces. He's going to peek to the inside of Doug Evans. That will be truly 3 wide with Doug and Nicholas Hunter. They managed to solve it mid-corner, but Brandon Walter's not giving up on Doug.
Yeah, they did that. They did that just like as quick as possible. They're like, oh, wait. I didn't mean to go 3 wide. I'm sorry. Let me back this up a little bit. And they almost made contact there. Walter and Evans almost pushed up into each other. I mean, we've ran quite a few laps on these tires. I mean, 23 laps. That's a lot to be out there slinging it around this track.
Oh, Walter gets loose in the middle of the corner. Charles Sumner has nowhere to go. Walter saves it, but I think the reason he saved it is because Charles Sumner was kind of on the scene to straighten him back out. Sumner's got huge damage to the front end of that truck now, and it looks like Zach Panzarella's got a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was the third strangest thing I've seen tonight. I mean, that contact was sort of kind of avoidable, but not too much here. And we look at the lead, it hasn't shrunk or gained or moved. It's just there. 1 second.
And 2 drivers here who are pretty equally matched in terms of pace. We always used to talk about Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly as the drivers who are always the best over the course of the long run. You put them at a track like Darlington that really shreds the tires, and those were the two that were always going to be fighting for the win. But this season and last season, Richard Regan Jr. and Sean Powell for Phase 2 Chassis Works have easily put themselves on par with Holly and Acosta. So there's always 4 drivers in contention in any sort of long run. And Regan has just been a perfect match for Holly here. Holly has been able to do absolutely nothing. He's got 12 more laps to hope those tires turn on. Doug Evans has been better than Doyle Lawrence, though, over the course of the long run, as he usually is. Doug Evans is always usually pretty good at keeping the tires under that truck. It's like he's paying for it.
Like my favorite sponsor, too. I love looking at that truck. Miracle Flow, good shampoo, good conditioner. I'm going to order me a big bottle of the mint to let the hair grow a little bit better. I'm definitely going to take them when I go do my thing that I haven't announced yet, and wash my hair so it looks like a mystic rainforest.
By the way, that thing that Terry isn't allowed to announce, it's because he is the next president of Brazil. Congrats,
Indeed.
Terry, on the election. I didn't know you were running there, but you came out at the last minute. You know, it's good to see Terry Radford up there in old Brazil. Bradley Holly has kind of sneaked away from second. Jeff Evans and Sean Powell, though, they've got a lot of work to do now. Only 9 laps to go in this race. I don't know where the time has gone, but Sean Powell's running out of time to make the move on Evans.
Well, Thomas Sink's there too, and Thomas Sink almost sailed it in there and did it. I'm not too sure the Brazilian people would enjoy me. If they did, then I will be more than happy to take that run of president for them. Would be super intense. I'm sure they would think that I was just as dumb as Americans do. But Thomas Sink might be the person that we're missing out here. He might be the guy that goes in there and fits in that 3rd spot, because we've seen what Sean Powell, when he misses the corner, he misses the corner big.
Jeff Evans missed the corner that time, though. He opened the door, but I think inadvertently, he kind of ended up closing it as well, because he went super wide in the middle of the corner and then actually worked for him on the exit of the corner. So we might start thinking, hey, maybe I should make that mistake every lap now. That's kind of working for me.
It's sometimes the best mistakes are the ones that you learn something on. There's not a lot of times where you learn from a mistake, at least me. I can make the same mistake a million times and still not care. But Jeff made that mistake up to the high side. He stuck it. It had grip. And talking to these drivers, too, this track has a lot more grip than it had in the spring. If you raced here in the springtime, this track was slick. You really couldn't make moves. If you got to that outside groove, it was like a skating ring. But this track is just, there's so much grip. Mechanical grip, front grip, rear grip. You're able just to go anywhere you want. And you could be later on the brakes into the corner to make that thing rotate.
Richard Regan Jr. has just checked out away from Bradley Holly. I don't think there's going to be much closing down in that battle unless the forbidden C word comes out a little bit later and we get a green-white checker. And that's what Bradley Holly is certainly hoping for, because that battle has pretty much solved itself. Austin Hunter has gotten by Kevin McGarvey. Powell's not giving up on Jeff Evans, though. Thomas Sink isn't giving up either. He's just kind of riding back here, watching what both drivers in front of him are doing. Just a brief Abner Acosta update as well. He's moved up about 5 spots, but he's still 23rd. Whatever damage he was able to get fixed in the pits is still clearly too bad to really do anything with, and Abner is still on struggle street back there in 23rd. He's going to have a little bit more work to do than he thought in the next 2 weeks.
Did say struggle street?
Struggle street. That's a phrase.
Today's race is brought to you by the letter S.
Yes.
Oh, there's Doug Evans. He's making a pass on Jim Westerfield.
You tell me how to get past Jim Westerfield. Well, Doug Evans just did. He is going to get by Jim. Not teammates. Doug Evans, kind of a Whataback driver in spirit because of his son Jeff. Jim Westerfield, a Whataback driver in practice for the Loud Pedal squad. He's going to lose out that spot to Doug, though, and Doug's up into lucky P13 right now. He's got a little bit more work to do to get up to Kevin McGarvey. That's a full second in 3 laps, but we know Doug's quick on these older tires. Anything can happen.
Anything is possible in the PRL. I doubted it until I had to sit in your seat for a couple weeks, and I was like, yeah, I understand now why you don't come in here with the same enthusiasm as I do, like the whatever. You're just like, you know, I'm going to call the race with you, and you yell on the mic, and we'll do our thing. But yeah, this race has went by super quick. It is 10:04, and we're about to take the white flag.
That means we get to talk to more drivers. That means we've got more broadcast window open for interviews, and I'm sure we always talk to a lot of drivers, but hopefully we get even more than usual. Give us some people we don't normally talk to, like maybe a McGarvey after his strong run, maybe a Cowgill in the top 10, a Hollingsworth. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But up front, Richard Regan Jr. is going to take the white flag. I don't think he necessarily expected to win this race, but his teammate Sean Powell kind of inadvertently opened the door. Sean dived into the Abner Acosta in this corner a few laps ago, pushed Abner Acosta out of the way. Richard Regan Jr. picked up the pieces, and now he's got one more corner to go. Richard Regan Jr. is going to make it a half century in the Precision Racing League. 50 wins across Cup and Trucks. Richard Regan Jr. wins at Phoenix.
He shifted that whole lap. That would explain how he saved his tires so good there. So he was actually just shifting through, getting on the brake, and then letting the motor slow itself down, and then keeping it going.
Richard Regan Jr., 33 Cup wins, 16 truck wins, one little MX-5 win that we always forget about. 50 wins in PRL competition for Richard Regan Jr. It's almost no surprise that he's done it every single time we go to an oval track in the PRL. When Richard Regan Jr. is here, he is in conversation for the win. He was probably the third fastest truck on track tonight, but he did exactly what he needed to do to win this race and made no mistakes.
Well, we're Bowman over here said, not gonna lie, but that man's gloves looks like my mom's old dishwashing gloves from back in the 80s. That's phenomenal.
There's got to be good gloves, though. So, you know, if you're cooking up War Boven hot dishes with that kind of thing, you might as well win a couple of PRL races with them. But as Richard Regan Jr. celebrates here in the vast expanse of the Phoenix Raceway dogleg, he's going to hide his truck behind the wall here. You could probably do autocross down there in the dogleg now that I think about it. But Richard Regan Jr. he's finding new places that I didn't even know existed, and he's going to bring it down pit lane as well. So
he's taking it to victory lane.
He is. I hope there is victory lane. Let's see.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, there is. There is.
The only track you can drive it into.
It's new. That's why I didn't realize. There he is. The lighting needs a little bit of work, but that's okay. We know who it is. Richard Regan Jr. Victory lane at Phoenix. How about that?
I'm going to get there sometime tomorrow. I got to stop getting wrecked by people who just want to sail it in there.
Richard Regan Jr., not only did he win this race, but he set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 71. He just absolutely dunked on the field tonight. Bradley Holly still searching for his first win of the season, finished second. Jeff Evans, a great result for him, trying to keep his round of 4 chances alive in third. Sean Powell pile drived Abner Acosta, fighting for the win. He finishes 4th for his efforts, and Thomas Sink was P5. By the way, Evans and Sink were technically not allowed to qualify for this race based on the rulebook, so we'll have to talk about that after the race. Lane, Zemke, Cervantes, Cowgill, and Hollingsworth rounded out the top 10. Austin Hunter needed a little bit better of a day, but he still brought it home in a solid P11. Kevin McGarvey was P12. Doug Evans, Jim Westerfield, Nicholas Hunter, Brandon Walter, Dalton Geyer, Zach Panzarella, Garrett Austin, and Doyle Lawrence rounded out the top 20. A few more drivers finished on the lead lap. Ryan Traver was 21st. Abner Acosta had heavy damage and has finished in 22nd. Stacey Hunter, CM Punk Pennington, Charles Sumner, and Tom Massey rounded out the top 26 on the lead lap. Steve Loving and Brian Hoskins went 1 lap down each. Oliver Goff went 1 lap down as well. Jose the Funky Cold Medina was backwards at 1.1 lap down. Robert Goff went 7 laps down in a somewhat confusing race. And we get down to the used truck lot finally. Adam Shane, Mark Kalin, Eric Lambert, and Scotty Reinshield all ended up in assorted amounts of trouble. But we've got a lot of drivers waiting for us. Hopefully we get even more. But first up, who else can we talk to but Richard Regan Jr.? You've hit the number. You've hit the big 5-0. 50 wins in the PRL.
Yeah, pretty cool. Just keep trying for more, I guess.
And next up is the Century, 100 wins. But you seemed, at least from our perspective, that you might have been the 3rd fastest driver tonight. But your teammate Sean Powell, Abner Acosta, they get into each other. You pick up the pieces, and then you just streaked away from Bradley Holly for the rest of the night. How was that?
Yeah, definitely unfortunate that Abner got moved there, but I think I was faster than both of them. Before that caution, when I was behind Abner, I was only going like 90%, just trying to make him get a mistake, but that's difficult because, you know, he's a really good driver. So, yeah, just saving my stuff a lot there. And the only time I really pushed was those last 5 laps.
And with Abner's misfortune, this is really going to put you in contention for the championship here in season 4, at least. There's 3 weeks to go. iRacing Super Speedway, of course, that's a crapshoot sometimes. Dover, and the season finale at Chicagoland. How are you feeling championship-wise?
Yeah, we'll see. You know, iRacing Super Speedway is always a crapshoot. So, you know, it's like a Talladega and Daytona. You know, you just got to really survive that. So, you know, if we can get through there and survive that, then I think we got a pretty good shot at taking up the season championship.
We got a message in chat when you were doing your donuts. War Bovine says, I'm not going to lie, that man's gloves look like my mom's old dishwashing gloves from back in the 80s. So are we going to take that as a compliment? I think it's a compliment.
It is.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as a compliment. If you can't tell, I love neon because it's obnoxious, and I like to be obnoxious. So, yeah, that's awesome.
That's my thing too. I love neon stuff. My F3 car has the neon wheels when I used to race that in the PRL. So yeah, good stuff. Congrats again on the win tonight, and we won't kick you out before telling you to thank those sponsors.
Thank you. Yeah, got to give a shout out to RaceSpotTV on the spotter stand. Awesome job as always. Scotty, Sean, Tyler, Christian, Mike, Bruno, everyone at Phase 2 Chassis Works, Liquid Molly, Garrett Coffee, JZ Photography. If you need a paint, go to facebook.com/neonism and tell them the PRL sent you. Also, thank you to PRL and RaceSpot.
That was your victor, Richard Regan Jr. Terry, you're ready to talk to the second place finisher as always. Bradley Holly is here. And Terry, go say words.
Bradley Holly, this is honorary Waterback Overdrive racing driver Terry.
How's it going?
P2. Well, P2 ain't what you wanted, but it was still pretty good drive for you.
It's definitely better than P3.
That is good.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good race.
That was helpful insight. That 2 was better than 3.
But yeah, I mean, of course, it's definitely not a win, but at the same time, you know, with how the events that happened today on track, you know, I'm happy with the P2, even though I feel like it was more of a gift than anything, due to when Sean and Abner got together and just had to kind of run my race and hope I can have better tires than Richard, but that wasn't the case.
Well, all right, so next week's the Super Speedway of iRacing. Yeah, let's talk about that. You going to be aggressive? You going to be conservative? You going to be kind of in between?
I'll have to see. I mean, a lot of times I like to check to see how the field is behaving before I really make a decision. But, you know, with last time, I think it was single file. It wasn't exactly side-by-side racing, just given how that track races. So, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, I have my notes from last time, so I'm going to have to adjust accordingly to try to be up front and go for a win.
Are you going to do there what you did to me in Pickup Cup, 3 wide, turn 1?
Or Abner at Talladega?
Yeah.
If it's coming down to it, yeah, I will. Now, if it's Pickup Cup, you know, I only do that just because why not? But, you know, when it comes to PRL and, you know, I want to get points and not kill my teammates at the same time. So when it comes to that, you know, I'll have to adjust accordingly and kind of see how the packs are going to get separated and just go from there.
Well, before you get out of here, thank those sponsors and all the Star Wars people.
Definitely want to thank all the Star Wars people. They're always gold. I'd like to thank Rosemary for, you know, sponsoring me week in and week out. You know, they're I know they're a fresh company, but they're helping me out. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on such a great broadcast every week. It's always fun to go back and watch. And I'd like to thank everybody in the PRL for putting on such a great league. And one more, I got to thank Tennessee for beating, so Mark has to run his Tennessee scheme for the rest of the year.
My man. Hey, Joey, that's Bradley Holly, baby, P2.
I'm just hungry because I heard the words rosemary and fresh. I'm thinking about like roast pork. So I hate you, Bradley Holly. Never come back. It's 10:15 p.m. I'm thinking about roast pork. Thanksgiving isn't for like 4 more weeks. But anyway, time to talk to Jeff Evans, third place finisher tonight. You came into tonight, I think, 3 points below the playoff cut line, and you're definitely in the round of 4, at least provisionally right now, with 2 weeks to come.
Yeah, it's going to be a close battle. The whole all 3 of these races, I think, between me, Tom, and Danny, we've been neck and neck all season. So it's going to come down to hopefully it's going to come down to Dover.
And I think this is pretty good for your overall championship hope, or your season 4 championship hopes as well. You were 9 points behind Holly, 8 points behind Regan. They both finished ahead of you, but you're still in touch. You kind of ruled yourself out at the beginning of the season, but I think you're still in contention.
I'm definitely there. I have to obviously recover from last week at Martinsville, but this is a good step forward in that, I think.
So you know what we got to ask about, the sponsors on the truck. As always, you can't get away from them.
Of course. Obviously, got to thank Phil with Miracle Flow. He's been always supporting both of us now, my dad and I. So that's very appreciated across multiple series at this point. And then everybody else with Riff Raff, Sim Anonymous, and then got to shout you guys out for putting on the broadcast every week. Yeah.
I just realized that we have fulfilled all 3 primary colors in the first 3 positions. We had the yellow from Richard, we had the cyan from Bradley Holly, and you're representing Team Magenta.
Yeah, it's a colorful front 3 in a league full of primarily black trucks. Some colors found their way to the front.
Yeah, always happy to see that magenta truck on track, and it's always easy to pick out, and that's going to be very helpful at iRacing Superspeedway next week. So we wish you luck next week, and I'm sure we'll talk to you as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have it going.
That was Mr. Jeffrey Evans in P3, but there's more drivers to talk to. Who is next in the actual order? I got to check my results now. I think it's Thomas Sink. I think he's next on the list.
Thomas
I'm going to let that sink in.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Hanging out. Dream.
Well, top 5. Not too bad there for that beautiful waterback back row racing machine.
Thanks. Yeah. I didn't have the greatest truck. Phoenix is usually a strong course for me, and then I needed to take a little bit more on restarts, I think, and I didn't capitalize on that. But I got lucky. I didn't have Danny would have caught me. He would have blew me away. A couple other guys back there I saw were coming up pretty good.
I mean, still at P5 ain't bad. Going into iRacing Superspeedway next week. You're still in contention here for the playoffs. What's your optimistic look of the future here in PRL?
It'd be nice to make the playoffs. I know Jeff's, I think, is going to be 4th right now. Might want to work with Jeff. I don't know what Abner looks like right now. I think Abner's pretty much locked himself in. We'll see. I mean, we'll just kind of work together as a team next week. We're going to try to work and make sure Jeff gets up in there and try to get a good season out of season 4.
All right, well, thank those beautiful people on the truck.
Whataback, Muscle Farm, Trading Paints, Impressions. Thank you guys. I like to thank Terry for supporting Whataback and wearing orange this week. Danny for putting all the information out there today, and PRL for putting on a league.
Joke's on you, I wear orange every week, but we love you, Thomas. That's Thomas Sink P5 here tonight at Phoenix.
I think somebody's listened to the broadcast, because I think I mentioned Patrick Cowgill in the list of drivers I wanted to talk to, and who else is here but 9th place finisher Patrick Cowgill. Were you listening to the broadcast? Were you listening when I told you to get in here for an interview?
No, I actually wasn't.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're
I
here
had the
by surprise.
broadcast playing in the background, but I couldn't hear it over my headphones.
Okay, good. But you were kind of the star of the night, at least for us. We seem to be watching you for half the race, every single lap of this race. You seem to be side by side with somebody.
I didn't even notice.
You didn't even notice that you were racing with people all race long?
I mean, there was a brief stint there where I know I was side by side with Austin and then Colton. But aside from those two moments, I thought I was single most of the time.
I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering things, but it seemed like you had a pretty exciting day to me. It's about to get even more exciting next week. iRacing Super Speedway. I'm sure we've literally talked to every single driver we've talked to about it because it's something we've had to circle from the beginning of the season. Anything can happen there. What do you think's going to happen?
I honestly hate super speedways. It's like a 50-50 crapshoot on whether or not you're going to finish the race because one incident can take out half the field, and it seems to be I get caught in it every time for some reason.
I'm going to take you back to Phoenix for one more question here because I am curious. This is a newly reprofiled, reformatted Phoenix. We've been going to that for the past couple of seasons. Have you decided that you like this place better or worse than the previous layout of Phoenix?
I think I'm indifferent. I mean, they feel pretty much the same, so the only difference is really the start-finish line position. So I think it's okay.
That's a ringing endorsement. Phoenix Raceway put that on your website. Patrick Cowgill thinks it's okay. Before we kick you out, SRT Esports, thank them for making this all possible.
Yep, I gotta thank my team at SRT Esport, and I gotta thank my sponsors, RaceSpot Sim Racing, Gomez Sim Industries, and Racing Sim Tools. And thank you guys for putting on the broadcast and PRL for putting on the league.
Lots of great sponsors, especially RaceBox there. Patrick Cowgill, your P9 finisher tonight. There's 2 more hits to come. Somehow it always shakes up that Terry, you get to talk with Austin Hunter. I don't know why the racing gods seem to pair you guys together.
We can swap. I'll take Mark Kalin.
I'm not gonna let you do that just yet.
Austin Hunter, good race. Could have did better, but good race.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think I had top 10 speed tonight after everything. It sucks to get doored by a non-playoff driver, but when there's only a few of us left, I guess it's bound to happen. I think I could have got me a couple spots left after that, but it's all good.
Well, we commented that you had top 10 speed, but I mean, 1 spot short of the top 10. This is a darn good run. And by the way, I noticed the newest sticker to your big old sign back here in the back. That's a beautiful sticker.
I appreciate it. Just because we're not doing a memorial race doesn't mean we can't think about our long lost friend John. So I want him riding with me for a long time coming.
Well, he did it. He's done good so far. iRacing Super Speedway. You gonna be hard charger? Or you gonna be conservative and then charge?
Probably conservative then charge. It's really my only shot to make the Final Four. I'm garbage at Dover, and I'm a bunch of points out, so it's really I gotta win at iRacing, or pretty much the playoffs are over for me. But I'm happy to make it this far. Out of our 3 years of doing this, I've never made it this far, so I'm happy to be in the top 8.
Well,
Final Four.
I kind of picked Kevin McGarvey to win next week. I think the 77's got a strong shot to get it. But if you do what you did at Talladega, except don't pit, you'll be okay.
Well, hopefully I'm not so close on fuel this time where I have to pit. It's just if I don't blow it again next time. But I'm hoping the iRacing Super Speedway gods are riding with me in a couple days here. I
promise you there will be a massive party in the RaceSpot broadcast booth next week if you win it. So good luck. Go out there and give them some heck.
I appreciate it. I just want to make sure I squeeze in my friends over at Established Traffic Control. Even though Chatley's a Phillies fan, we're still friends here. And just want to make sure I invite Joey down to Texas for some actual barbecue since he's so hungry tonight.
I'm up for that. I do actually have a question for you, Austin, before we kick you out, because I forgot to ask a question to Jeff and Thomas, because I'm a bad journalist. But I saw that Charles Sumner posted the penalties from last week. Thomas and Jeff weren't supposed to qualify this week, and they still did. Do you know what's up with that?
They both appealed their caution point. so they get to ride it another week at this time. So I would expect an answer to that here by the next race.
All right, that's what I was thinking, but I had to ask Austin Hunter, the keeper of his teammates this week.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you guys so much, and thanks to the guys at Waterback for everything.
Time to kick Austin Hunter out. You know what's coming up next. Mark Kalen's here. He finished, well, he didn't even finish. He was 33rd, 55 laps down, upside down at some point. How did it go wrong this week, Mark?
How did it go wrong? Well, 2 weeks in a row, I got wrecked by teammates, so that's great. However, to correct you, I did finish. I came back out with about 14 laps to go and got really close to gaining one more spot. So, oh well. But
yeah, it looks like you needed 2 more laps to get by old Adam Shane.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't have even been mad about it because that ugly paint scheme it needed to be put out of its misery.
You watch your mouth.
Yeah, I can't put it off any longer. That's not a Greek flag over to the right of Mark Kalen, unfortunately. I'm going to mute my microphone, and I'm going to let Terry out like a rabid dog.
Oh, hail.
Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Just sing it with me. Mark, you know the words. I sang it to you. You heard it all last Saturday night. What was the score again? I'm confused. I think I hit my head.
It was atrocious. It was 44-6.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you're going to ride this all year. I'll make the same bet with you for basketball season. It's about to kick off. Tennessee's the number 1 team in football, the number 1 team in basketball, ladies soccer, ladies basketball, number 1 across the board in the NCAA. By the way, cute dog. My dog's actually asleep in my arms right now. So I get a big pit bull in mine. I think my dog's bathroom breaks are bigger than that one back there behind you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a Mountain Feist Terrier. His name is Rex, and I've got another one who is a Beagle Beagle/Blue Heeler mix, and her name is Blue. Both named after dinosaurs, T-Rex and then the Velociraptor Blue from Jurassic Park and World.
Good shot on the dog, Hugo. That puppy.
Yeah, that's Rex. I also like to call him Yoda because of his ears, them Yoda ears. So
well, I'm happy you're running orange. The checkerboard looks great. I'm glad Jeff put my little finishing touches on it. But man, talk about the sponsors.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate race, but I always got to thank Miracle Flow, Muscle Farm, Waterback Racing, everybody on the team for all the work we put in. I haven't been able to put in much work just because work's been killing me this week. So, but and I didn't race Monday or Tuesday either, so no excuses there. But last night I wanted to run last night. I hopped on here, realized I didn't own the track, and I was like, well, I don't want to pay $15 to, die on the first lap right now. So
I can't blame you for not paying for Osher I wouldn't either if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I honestly I thought it was the free one, the new free track that they gave out, but that's later in the season, so we'll probably see me there.
All right, commiserations for getting killed again, but we'll hope the next week is the week that the Mark Kalen season finally turns around. We say it every week; it's got to be true one of these times.
Yeah, looking forward to iRacing Speedway. I almost got my first Truck Series win there the last time we went, with me and Abner fighting it for the last lap. But I don't know. I got to be honest. If I'm in this Tennessee truck on the last lap and I'm in the lead, I might put it in the wall.
I like it.
How about that for a cliffhanger next week? Mark Kalen, your 33rd place finisher tonight, and potentially a 33rd place finisher next week if he decides he doesn't want to win because of Tennessee. But that's the big elephant in the room, the 3-mile iRacing Super Speedway monster. I've got a tradition, Terry. I'm about to do it. I've got my random number generator. It only goes from 1 to 100, so sorry if you have a number that's 3 digits. If you're like Austin Hunter, if he's the 312, if I get the 12, I'll say that's him. But let's see here. Generate the number 6 If my memory serves me correctly, we don't have a number 6 in this series, and I would be correct. So I'm gonna roll again. The number 14. I don't think we have a 14 either. So I'm gonna keep randomizing here. I'm not giving up on this bit. I got the 15. We don't have a 15, but I said I would include 3-digit numbers. The 115 of Robert Goff, who went 7 laps down this week, who brought out the caution. He's who the random number generator has chosen for iRacing Super Speedway.
I'm a fan. This is what we want to see. Hugo took a beautiful picture of me and my dog. Hopefully we can put this big behemoth up here for everybody to see. That he's literally taking my entire lap up, and my legs are asleep. See, he's fastly asleep in my arms. He enjoyed the PRL show with us tonight. Hopefully he'll be up here enjoying it next week. This was fun. The Princey Poo made his PRL race spot debut tonight.
I was just reminded that we do have a 15 of Mike Richter, but he hasn't been here since week 2, so I can't imagine, unless he magically shows up next week, then I will say Mike Richter was chosen. But for now, Robert Goff, you've been chosen by the RNG. Well, that's about it for us tonight. It was a very fast race at Phoenix. Richard Regan Jr. once again makes PRL history, going for win number 50. We've got 5 nights of PRL action a week here on RaceSpot. On Sundays, it's the Cup Series. On Tuesdays, we've got GT3s. Here on Wednesdays, we've got the trucks. Thursdays, we've got IRO4s and F3s. We hope you'll join us tomorrow night for those. We hope you'll join us next week for more trucks. We hope you'll join us for every single night of PRL competition here on RaceSpotTV. But until we see you next time, I've been Joey Tebbin. Terry Radford has been Terry Radford. Our producer has been Hugo Luis. Until we see you next time, so long.